War Eagle, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live. This is another round of discussing Auburn Family news that's happening in the world on social media. It's got orange and blue on it. We want to talk about it here today. So I thank you for joining me. If this is your first time, welcome. If you are a returner, welcome back. We appreciate however you get here, however long you stay. We do appreciate any amount of time that you give to our podcast network, to our social media stuff, anything out there that you are part of within our little E2C network family. We appreciate you being here. So we are broadcasting live on two different formats. Right here in front of me, we have YouTube that is going strong with the YouTube folks. By the way, y'all crossed 800 subscribers for us last night. That was incredible. You guys are awesome. We're also trying something a little bit different. Instead of Twitter today, we've got the Facebook folks going right here in front of me. So I hope that they enjoy being part of the stream today. We're going to give it a try. Usually we let the Twitter folks in here today. And most of you know that it's always better to be here on YouTube. But we want to give you an option to be there on Facebook. We might try Instagram too sometimes. Who knows? But anyway, on the table today, I have in the topic for this show is Sharif Cooper is the difference for basketball. So obviously that's what I want to talk about, but we're going to talk about anything and everything in between that you might want to discuss today. So feel free to post comments, questions. First of all, just say hello, War Eagle, however you'd like to. Let me know that you're here. I already see a bunch of familiar faces popping up on Facebook and on YouTube as well. So just let me know that you're here. A couple things before we get started and get into the meat and potatoes of what we're going to talk about here today. On YouTube, you can see this. This is our support options that we have for the network here. You can listen to the podcast, be part of the Booster Club, patreon.com/E2C Network. You can also, oh my goodness, I didn't realize I was on the wrong one. We're gonna stop that here for the thank you, Autumn, for letting me know. I have a second thing that I do for something else, guys, that it always gets confusing sometimes which ones you switch on and off for. Anyway, it wouldn't be a E2C, I2I, whatever I do kind of show without me messing something up on there. So it's just YouTube folks today. Anyway, those are some of the options that you can do to help support this here and everything that we do here on YouTube or on a podcast network or anything like that. As you're getting in, please do make sure you smash that like button. It does help the stream out if you're enjoying what you're watching. It involves more people here in the conversation today. Let me say hello to a couple of people that are here. The stereotypical Auburn fan. If Sharif stays next year, the other team might as well just forfeit. Maybe. You got to have pieces around him, and it looks like the pieces are there, and for the most part will be staying, right? So I would say it's a somewhat fair assumption to make about all of that. Hillbilly, what's going on, man? Thanks for being here. Joe, Neil White, John Stokes. Sharif got fouled. War Productions in the house. FYI, I went back and watched the Coach Harson's presser for yesterday. I'm very impressed. He sort of reminds me of John Gruden minus the irritating personality. See, I actually like John Gruden's personality. I don't know what that says about me. That says probably less about me in general if I like John Gruden's personality. I don't know. That just kind of always lends itself towards me. Maybe that's why I have a little growing affinity towards Coach Harsin as well. I think it's a fair comparison that you made there, Neil. So as always, most of you know this that have been here for a while. We bounce back and forth around tons of topics. So feel free to switch it in and out if you've got something else that you'd like to talk about. And we'll kind of manage that as best we can because mainly we're here for you guys and want to interact with you. So whatever you want to have on the table today is what we're going to do. I'm pretty sure we're going to have a pretty slow day in terms of viewership just because everybody just got done watching a basketball game. And it really, I couldn't do a stream this morning early because of the basketball game that's coming up. I was pretty sure people would not be wanting to tune into that. So you guys that are here are going to be part of a special group. So I do appreciate y'all being here. Unlike Okoro is what I think he meant. Sharif needs another year. Okoro was big and strong enough to make the jump. So I agree with that mostly. I think he was big enough to make the jump. I don't think he was ready shot-wise for the NBA, though. Now, that doesn't seem to be mattering much if you're paying attention to Isaac Okoro. And I was honestly thinking about this today, especially during the game. I was like, now I've actually got a reason to tune into some NBA games. Completely honest here, I was never an NBA fan whatsoever. I was a Chicago Bulls, just like everybody else were, or Michael Jordan fan back in the day. So now I actually have a reason to get involved with the NBA again, so I might do so. So whereas Sharif probably does need to get a little bit bigger, and I think that's what kind of hurt Jared Harper is his size. And I don't know that he was going to get any bigger. I think if Jared could have stayed for his senior year and shown everybody that, hey, this isn't just this 1 year that I'm doing this stuff. Who knows what he might have gone in the NBA draft. Who knows, all that kind of stuff. Of course, now we know it honestly wouldn't have mattered in terms of Auburn's run next year because it would have gotten canceled anyway. And Auburn's team was still stacked anyway. So there's some interesting comparisons that you can make with the Sharif, will he leave, will he not thing. But he is definitely, can we all agree on this? Is Sharif Cooper the difference for Auburn football or Auburn basketball this year? He might have been the difference for Auburn football in some areas too. But, that remains to be seen. We'll probably never know that fact if he could have had an effect. I'll give you this. He is having a much more successful time getting the basketball to players than some of our offensive prowess did. How many year are we banned? I guess is what you're asking. How many years are we banned? So my understanding is that we are in a 1 year postseason ban because of the ongoing investigation. So what that leads you to believe is that Auburn probably knows they have some stuff, whether it was during the Chuck Person era, that's going to come down. So I think this is probably to preemptively, show the NCAA, hey, we understand that there's probably some things here that need to be addressed, and so we're going to go ahead and start addressing them. So here's the good thing you can think about this. In a weird year of COVID-19, you can already take solace in the fact that we're starting the band process. The band postseason ban. We keep saying band. That messed me up. Ban process. So I would take it year by year. It just seems like maybe this year, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to a second year because you usually hear about like 2-year bans and stuff like that. I've been a Cavs fan for a while, and I was so happy when we took Okoro. He and Sexton are so good. And doesn't it hurt, though, to watch an Alabama great and an Auburn great playing together? It kind of hurts my heart a little bit. Same thing. It's why I have such a hard time with professional sports outside of baseball, really, because you don't see too many Alabama baseball players. I know there's some out there, but not like Auburn sends them there. So I will say that I have a hard time latching on to. I was a Cavs fan at the beginning of LeBron James's time before he became the way he is now. But yeah, we got people connecting here. I'm a Cavs fan and Auburn fan too. So look, everybody's just connecting, brotherly love, all kinds of good stuff here. Good grief! How long is the investigation going to take? I think the investigation is probably over. Wow, look at that hair after that, guys. I think the investigation is probably over at this point. It's now probably in the deliberation process of what are they going to do to Auburn, and has Auburn suffered enough? I mean, they got rid of their coach. They did a postseason ban, so maybe that's enough to appease them, and maybe the NCAA did tell Coach Pearl and the staff, if you'll do this, kind of admit a little guilt in this, maybe you'll come off a little bit easier. Yo, this is the best happy Saturday, Samuel. I agree with you, sir. It is a good Saturday here. A lot to be excited about on this one. I would not call the NCAA what the NCAA does an investigation. They take like 5 years, and when they finally punish you, all the players are different. It does feel that way, doesn't it? I'm not going to sit here and applaud everything about the NCAA. I most certainly don't think they do everything wrong. But I will say I feel, though, there are some areas where they can improve. And that is my most diplomatic answer that I can give you. On the other hand, we got Neil White. NCAA is an absolute joke. You're in Ohio now. So I live in Ohio now, so that's why I'm a Cavs fan. So what's it like living in Ohio State country? Because they seem to invade down here in the South. You can't get rid of Ohio State fans. They're everywhere. Work, church, everything. I don't know why we have so many Ohio State fans down here. Usually they're bandwagon fans too. But I know several that I know actually went there. Let's see here. This year is the year to get rid of all the dumb youth mistakes we were making. This is Cam. with a young and team in probation year. Next year, I see trouble for the rest of the NCAA with this roster. Absolutely. And that's, of course, if Sharif Cooper stays. Um, and I thought that Jimmy Dykes today on the call on TV for the game versus South Carolina, it was that bad of a game that I forgot who we were playing. He said that in his perspective, Sharif Cooper does not seem focused on getting to the NBA this year, but he is listening to those people who have his best interest at heart. And you can kind of like look at the situation and see, okay, what's Bruce going to tell him? Bruce, didn't want Isaac Okoro to go. I think he was on record as maybe encouraging him to stay a year, but he was going to be supportive if he felt that it was right. So I do think Bruce will probably look at Sharif and kind of, I think if we want to convince Sharif Cooper to stay, here's what you do. You show him Isaac Okoro and you say, okay, look, that's the best it's gotten here. And there's Chuma as well, but he really sold himself on his defense and he had the size to go with it. You're the better comparison for Jared Harper. Jared, while great and will go down as one of the best Auburn basketball players, if not at this moment, the best Auburn point guard of all time. That may be in jeopardy as we're seeing right now. But I do think if you show him that case and say Jared Harper could have used one more year, proving to NBA scouts that my size is not going to matter, and they might have had a bit of different story there for him. Joe, I'm not talking about this game in a lot of detail because we're going to do the podcast here later today, and it'll be out tomorrow. So I hope you all tune into that about breaking down the South Carolina game. But I would recommend everybody go to the NCAA website and look up the concussion protocols, and it might help you understand what might be going on back here. I did this during the game actually because there were some points where it was just so boring and had to kind of look at it. So that might help you understand what's going on with him and what's taking so long. It really could be legitimate that he's really struggling right now. And I don't know that. I don't know anything about what's going on. I'm not hearing anything from sources on that. Just something that I'm kind of trying to investigate for myself. Kenneth's in the house. What's going on, Kenneth? John's a Buckeye by birth. Oh, you poor soul. Even if Sharif doesn't stay, we could pick up a nice transfer point guard and could still be elite. Absolutely. Elite, though, I don't know that I agree with. I do think a year together, if this team stays together outside of Sharif, they'll obviously be better next year. But it's hard, and that's why I titled this video, Sharif Cooper is the difference. And it's kind of hurts to say that one player does make that much of a difference. And this wasn't a bad Auburn basketball team without him, but you can see how much better they are. And it's not simply because Sharif can score points. It's because of what he does for other players. I mean, look at the difference in Dylan Cardwell, however you pronounce his last name, in his play since Sharif has got here. Now, granted, he's on a little bit of a advantage because they played together in high school, but Sharif just facilitates, and that's what makes a great point guard. What kind of concussion does Powell have? Mahomes can come back in 1 week, as in Powell had been gone 3 weeks. So that's why I recommend to go and look at it, those protocols, what they have to go through. And I'm not sure if it's the NCAA sets the protocols and the SEC can adjust them to what they like. I don't know if that's how that happens, but I would imagine they defer to the NCAA. It'll kind of, if you look at some of the things that have to be checked off, I think there's actually a guidelines and then a checklist. I looked at the checklist. So there's like a checklist for assessing a concussion, and then treatment after it and checklist there, and then post-concussion, like what they have to do to be considered back from this. And if you kind of read some of those things and you can make some assumptions about what might be going on with him and some things that he may be struggling with personally with this. And that is just my assumption. I have no inside information about that whatsoever. Just me reading into six games. Now I got to do math. 6 games that he has missed. So yeah, something big's going on. Is it 6 or do I have it wrong? I think it's 6. All I can say is look at USC and Archie trying hurt the last 2 games, punch to the face and punch to the throat, but no calls. Yeah, he is getting that, and I think that comes with the territory of being so small. They tend to get pushed around and beat up a little bit, and that's just kind of the way it is sometimes. And it doesn't make it right, it doesn't make it fair, but just the way it goes down. Ohio State fans are literally everywhere. Church, yes. Neighborhood, yes. The alley, downtown, yes. Hiding behind your car, yes. I'm serious, guys. I don't know what it is about Ohio State fans. Everywhere. So at my place of employment, I literally every time I meet someone new that gets hired on, I'm like, can I just take one stab at where you're from, or at least what sports you like? Ohio State. And 50% of the time, I've been right. It's so crazy. And they're so cocky as well. I think you're talking about Gamecocks, but bad joke. But anyway, yes, they are very, very arrogant most of the time. Most of them, I know their arrogance kind of has some limits, and that's why I like them as people. But I've met some really annoying ones as well. Sharif leaving hurts, but Powell is projected as a first-round pick for next year, and we have a 6'6" point guard in Trey Alexander coming in as well. Now, my understanding is that Trey is not going to be a point guard, is that his true position is a shooting guard. I could be wrong on that, but he might have to fill that role if Sharif's not here. And so you also got to consider, something's got to give in terms of roster situations too. Because you've seen how much they're struggling to get some other players some playing time already this year. And you're going to be adding Jabari Smith, Trey Alexander to the mix. So at this moment, you're going to see guys like maybe a Devin Cambridge going to get pushed out of the start, not even starting, but just time that they're seeing. So it's going to get crowded. I think you're going to see, I'm going to go ahead and make a bold prediction. I think you will see more transfers from the program than you will see people leaving early for the draft. And that's not too bold of a prediction to make, because even if just one leaves, you can probably guess 2 are going to leave. I think that's pretty likely. So I'm going to stand by that right now and say more transfers from the program than people going into the NBA draft. His 2 questionable fouls. Yeah, his triple-double potential there was pretty high, but it just didn't work. There you go. So Isaac just confirmed Trey's the shooting guard, but got handled. So it's same as Justin Powell and Alan Flanagan to some degree. I think Justin Powell kind of fits the dual role better. But yeah, I do agree that he is a shooting guard as opposed to that. If we can keep Sharif Cooper, what it will do is set this program up 2 to 3 years down the line when another point guard can be brought in, sit behind this team a little bit, and kind of get ready. Or even start as a freshman, because right now we need to find that next point guard. Wait, are we able to play in the SEC tourney? I do not think so. In fact, I think if you saw on TV today, they posted the link, or not the link, but the standings for the SEC, and Auburn wasn't included. There were actually 2 teams not included in the postseason, or even the standings at all for them. Now, if you go to websites, they're going to put Auburn in there just because, but yeah. I don't think we are eligible for that at all. So enjoy the basketball you have, and we are 1 game away from halfway through SEC play, which means after that point, 10 games left, because you've got the 1 game with Baylor and the Big 12 SEC Challenge. So it's coming to a close. It's quicker than y'all think, which is great that baseball is going to be here very soon. By the way, can I ask everybody that's here so far a question? So I don't know if most of you have seen it, but I posted a short video late last night just because it's when I got it done. Just kind of doing a big Auburn news story where I just kind of gave a little bit about it and then my takeaways on it. Would y'all like to see more of those? If not, that's fine. Just something I did on a whim, and I'm trying to give. I appreciate how involved y'all all are here on YouTube, and I want to give y'all maybe something a little bit more than just the live streams, if you would prefer that, because sometimes we don't get to talk about some of those other things here. I do plan on us maybe, if y'all like to, tomorrow on a live stream to talk about the baseball schedule. So we might do that a little bit. We can talk about it a little bit here if y'all like, but I figured that would be kind of our big topic tomorrow, since it's kind of I'm just happy that we're having a schedule. So I'm seeing sure. Yeah, I like them. Sure, I like reactions to news. Okay. So I don't know. I'm guessing sure means yes, or it's just like I'm telling you yes, but so, just to make you happy. But I hope you guys do enjoy. And seriously, I'm trying my best to tailor this YouTube channel around what y'all want. If it's just the live streams that y'all want, this is very easy to do this. But I figured this be something too during the middle of the week that I might have some time to get on when I can't commit an hour to live streaming, or however long we normally do these things. Not usually an hour, but sometimes it's been going that way, that y'all might enjoy. Scuda is a 5-star 2022 point guard prospect that's likely to come to Auburn. So that, is going to line up very nicely. So next year is the 21-22 season, which would mean that by the time he would get here, if Sharif Cooper would stay, then he'd be in line to be a point guard if somebody else didn't rise up and take that position. Oh, you found the the podcast on Podbean. Kyle, speak. I do a podcast for potential living. So, great. I hope you enjoy it. And seriously, guys, if you have any advice or things that you'd like to see on the podcast network too, please let us know. We are not perfect, but we want to be what y'all would like out of us. Never really watched baseball. Should I? I think so. So, stereotypical Auburn fan. Where are you from personally? Are you within Auburn's reach? Like within a couple hours, can you go to a baseball series? I would highly recommend that you do. Highly recommend that you do this. Do you think Scooter may reclassify to 2021 if Cooper leaves early? So that could be a potential, right? If Cooper does decide I got to go now, maybe Coach Pearl pulls him aside if they get him, first of all, and says, hey, we need you now. Potential. It's been happening a lot lately in college sports, especially basketball, but we'll see. We will see. North Carolina. Okay, so it's a bit of a haul for you, but there may be some games like, I don't know how far away in North Carolina you are. I think Auburn plays Georgia Tech at least once every year. And I think they are going to Athens, Georgia, so that should be even closer to you. And I think they're playing in South Carolina this year. And I think they're playing at Tennessee this year. So I think there are a couple of options for you. I would highly recommend, though, that you come to Auburn, Alabama to experience a weekend. We get excited about college football game days, college basketball Saturdays, and especially March Madness. But there's just something nice about a baseball weekend in Auburn in the spring, because usually there's some smaller events going on alongside in a normal year, which you can go take in as well. I love all times on campus at college baseball. It's not just about the game for me. So I would recommend that you go do it. Western North Carolina. So you'd be set up pretty nicely. 5 hours. But if you can convince yourself to come for the weekend and you could, go to all those games, it'd probably be fun for you. I think it. Baseball's worth it for sure. War Production says all the Blue Bloods are down bad. UK, UNC, Duke, unranked. Kansas on a 3-game losing streak. UCLA, all right, I guess, but not great. Yeah, it's a weird year, man. You see how even the mighty Blue Bloods can take a hit in a really weird year, and things don't look so good for them. So yeah, I do think it's interesting to watch what's going on here. So you're high on Thor, meaning you like him a lot. Yeah, Thor is my favorite guy to watch because he can honestly do it all. He absolutely can. I think he knocked down a 3 early on. And, he's an impressive specimen physically in terms of what he still has to gain. But already you don't see too many guys like Thor just have control of their bodies because he's so lanky, so tall, so just long everywhere, arms, legs, torso, everything. They tend to be a little bit out of control at times. I can speak from that personal experience. I'm not that tall. I'm not tall at all, really. I'm just kind of a little above average. But when I was growing up, I kind of had a growth spurt, and I just couldn't control my arms and legs all the time. And so it was real awkward sometimes playing basketball. But what he does with his current body type and his skill set is quite impressive. Joe, I agree. So softball is awesome to do too. If you can get a weekend where there is softball in the early afternoon, baseball in the evening, and potentially you could go to a tennis or a track and field meet. That those usually start lunchtime, maybe somewhat in the late mornings. That's a good weekend. And that's one of the best like 8-day weekends I've ever had, because I literally went from like a tennis match to a track and field match to the 8-day game to a softball game. And then there was an opportunity for a baseball game, but I was just too tired at this point. That's a good Auburn weekend right there. And that's, with no real football, just a practice game involved there. Let's see. Exactly. He can move like a shooting guard at 6'10" like that. I don't know about a 20-foot wingspan. He reminds you a lot of who? Kevin Durant. Think back to when Kevin Durant was at Texas. He was just all arms and legs and didn't have a ton of meat on him. But when he finally got to the NBA and got into their training programs and put that on, he became even more dominant. Reminds me a lot of Kevin Durant on this. War Productions. I live 8 hours away from Auburn. Yes, that is quite a haul for you, sir, but it would be worth it if you could spend a weekend there. And I'll say this. I think someone mentioned this here previously. When we start getting more back to normal, somebody mentioned, do you ever do like tailgates or live, things together? Yeah, we've done live events where I'd love to have one where we can all get together and say hello, even if it was just like we all said we're going to meet up here for an hour and just say hello and kind of put faces to names. So we can do that definitely in the future, coming up very soon. Also, a little quick break here. If you guys haven't already, please do make sure you smash that like button. It does help the stream out. We've been growing by leaps and bounds, and now that I'm actually not on one of the other social media things, I can actually kind of check and see where we are in terms of still at 803, but hey, we've grown a lot since then. But yeah, so just smash that like button if you're enjoying what you're watching today. Also, let me ask this of you guys. How's everybody feeling about the whole T-Will situation? Because I got to be honest, watching social media, some of the interactions on there, I'm kind of impressed with the consistency that I'm seeing with a few people. And when I talk, and I want to use this to talk about something else in just a second, but there are a lot of people that were, in my opinion, overly gung-ho about Brian Harsin. And when I say overly gung-ho, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be excited, you shouldn't support him, all that kind of stuff. Just some people that were just so ready to get rid of Coach Malzahn that they weren't even kind of stopping and taking a step back to see, was this a good choice and stuff like that. Doesn't mean it wasn't. But I thought we would see these people do nothing but question the hires and stuff. Some of those same people are actually like not calling him out, but actually saying not really happy with him about this T-Will decision. And I gotta agree. I think that's probably the one knock on him so far that I have. Now, again, he has his reasons. We don't know those reasons. T-Will could have not interviewed well. I don't know that. All I know is that I'm a T-Will fan, and I would much rather have him as part of our program than have him go somewhere else. So, yeah. Just looking at Twitter and some of the other social media things, I see a lot of sadness, but I've also been impressed with the consistency I've seen with a few people as well. Kenneth says not happy, but I'm going to deal with it. Yeah, I think that's kind of where most of us are at this point, that, we can't have a perfect situation where we all get what we want, but we will kind of deal with it at this point. Is T-Will really gone? I know he's under contract until the end of the month. Well, he's not gone until he finds another job. So if Coach Harsin wants to find him an off-the-field position or something else, it's there. He hasn't gone anywhere else. But he did pen a farewell letter to the Auburn family, I believe. So, yeah. I think, unfortunately, we have lost T-Will at this point, which is very sad. But if you're going to do a complete rebuild of this program, you might as well get rid of everybody, I guess, except for Cadillac. That is, if he had gotten rid of Cadillac and T-Will, I would have been very upset. So I think he won the PR battle early by picking Coach Cornell Williams. I don't mind us not getting him. I know we have a difference of opinion on that, but honestly, I'm kind of out of faith in this guy who I'm sure has I'm trying to work through the typos there, but I think you're saying that you're just having faith in the coach. No, I mean, like, I have faith in the coach. Doesn't mean I have to like his decisions, though. I was supposed to go to the UK versus Auburn game, but COVID is lame. Oh man, I'm so sorry. Oh, football, excuse me. I hate that you had that, man, but it's tough. I know several people who have had it. I'll give you a little bit. I know this nobody wants to really talk about this, but since you brought it up, I actually believe I can't prove it, but just kind of sitting back watching everything that's going on, I believe I had COVID back before it was COVID. It was. I went through something like the flu that I never felt before, and I kept asking my wife, who's a nurse, I was like, "This is how I felt like the flu, but it's different. What is this?" And so I feel for you there, because even though I can't prove that I had it, I'm pretty sure I did. And I was probably one of the patient zeros, which would make sense where I work, because I work in a very populated area, get around a lot of people. And well, never mind. I shouldn't probably go there, but anyway. Would have been my first SEC game for Auburn. Wow. Yeah, it's high time that you made that happen, my friend. I've been up to Kentucky's stadium. They have an annoying announcer that every time he announces, "First down, Kentucky!" Every time. But it was a cool campus to go see. Didn't really feel like an SEC campus. It was cool to see, though. I wouldn't mind going back. I'd need another reason besides just that. But I went during the Cam Newton season, and that was also the same day that Alabama lost to South Carolina, and Garcia, the quarterback there that everybody was like thought was an enigma. So yeah, I've been to that one. I think that would have been a cool one to go to. Gave up my season ticket for 2020 season, so I missed a whole season. Wow. I didn't go to a single game either. I thought about a couple of them, but I just couldn't swing the prices that they were asking for some of those situations. Not insulting the COVID protection. I understand that. I'm saying that it sucks. It had to happen. It absolutely, yeah, it sucks that it had to happen. Joe wishes he could get season tickets. Don't we all? Don't we all? They are expensive, and they're, it's tough. A lot of people have to work their whole life to be able to get season tickets for any. You used to be. Here's where I missed the bus. I had a hunch that I needed to buy into the season ticket program for basketball the first year of Bruce Pro, which was pretty much the first year of this podcast network. I didn't do it. You know how hard it is and how expensive to get in there now? Pretty expensive. So, if you can do it, if you can ever swing it, probably there's honestly, once we kind of come out of this thing, there's probably no better time to do it, because I don't know that you'll see prices any lower than they are now. That's just me. I don't know. Just picking here. But, I'm hoping one day that we'll get media access to some of these places. And I'm not just doing that so I can go to the games, because we want to be there to cover for some of the things that we've done. We've actually gotten media access to soccer before. I've interviewed Coach Karen Hoppe on the field after a game, which was awesome. She's an awesome lady. Probably she's, especially with Coach Malzahn gone, she's in my top 3 coaches at Auburn right now. And I love some Bruce Pearl, but I got a big affinity for Coach Hoppe, for Coach Graba. I'm kind of starting to like Gary Taylor a lot for swimming and diving, if I'm honest. Who you got winning the SEC in baseball? Gosh, it sure does look like Ole Miss is going to be pretty strong. Florida as well. Your traditional powers are there. Auburn's got a good chance, though, to take down some of the powers at home and prove that they're better than the preseason thinks that they are as well. So, anyway, as you can tell, we've kind of hit a point in the year where there's a lull in football news, and we're going to start talking about some of that stuff as well. If you guys liked seeing some of those shorter videos, when we probably get a commitment or a transfer like that, I'll probably do a little bit about them and put it up there for you. And we can obviously talk about it here, but that's going to help, help give you guys something other than the live streams to look forward to. Yes, 800 subs. It took us, so we grew so fast, like skyrocket. I've never seen a YouTube a channel that I've been associated with ever grow that fast, that quickly. I mean, we went literally from like 50 subscribers to we'll say like 775 within weeks, and then all of a sudden stopped. Of course, it was about the time that the news started slowing down for all of the coordinator hires and all that kind of stuff, and everybody wasn't as jazzed about it. So, but the great thing is that y'all all found us during that time, and we're all here together now. So that's great. All right, let me go through a couple of things here. I think we probably covered most of our topics for the day, but I want rapid fire questions, comments, anything Auburn. Honestly, anything that you want to ask me here, because you've got me here. But as always, let me share with you this again. You can help support our podcast network and this YouTube channel by doing a few things. A, listen to the podcast or watch these videos. I guess I should have said one. You can also join the Booster Club, the E2C Network Booster Club at patreon.com/E2C Network. We've got a lot of you that have signed up recently, and we really appreciate that. For as little as $1 a month. And honestly, and I just figured this out because of the way we have everything set up, you don't even have to be charged until the beginning of the month. So you kind of get some stuff for free, some access to just information and communication routes to us if you want them. You can find that there by signing up and at least checking that out for as little as $1 a month. So I do hope that you'll check it out. We also do PayPal and TeePublic Store where you can buy our logo and some other gear as well. If you're not, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. It's the March to 900. If we get to 1,000, that's the big one for a lot of YouTube channels. I'd love to get there sooner rather than later, but we've gotten to 800 super fast. And if you're enjoying the content today, a lot of you have already done it, please smash that like button. Let's see. I see we lost another offensive lineman. Is that brand new news since we got on this stream? Because I haven't. Kamar Bell, I think is who you're talking about. Yeah, that was a bit of a shock. I was not happy about that. We're taking hits, leaps, and bounds when it came to this transition period, but that's what comes with transition. Players get upset. Players want to leave. Players want to play for the coach they came here for. I know most of y'all don't like that, but it's a reality that we live in, and it's kind of one of the costs of that. Best Auburn game you've attended in person, football. I mean, I think you're going to hate this answer because it's the cliche. I was at the kick six. I stormed the field. So I would say if you want me to remove the obvious answer, because unfortunately for me, but unfortunately for that question, I was there. The West Virginia game, the rain game. As a student, I went out and took my shirt off and was standing out there in the rain and then leading cheers and stuff in the storms. I mean, that was incredible. Just absolutely incredible atmosphere. I'll never forget that one. I'll never forget the kick six. I was there for the all but one of the home games as a student for the championship season, so those all rank in there as well. I was there for the 2006 Florida Auburn game where Trey Smith blocked the punt, scored the touchdown, and we beat Tebow, who eventually all won the championships. That was Chris Leak was the quarterback then too. I've been to Cadillac's, was it like 6 rushing touchdown games against Syracuse in triple overtime to win the game. I've been to the Auburn UCF game that was won in the last seconds by a throw down the sideline. Had a lot of great ones, but I'd say West Virginia game and kick six are all the way up there. That was my first one versus Florida. That's a great one to be there. That was an incredible day on campus as well. Went to game day, all that kind of stuff. It was on a date, too, at the time. Now, that is not important now because I have a wife who I love very much here. But it was just as a young Kyle, it was just a great day all the way around. So anyway, thanks for that question. Anytime you want to ask stuff like that, please feel free to do that. I think we're going to cut it here today, guys. Appreciate y'all being here for a shorter stream than normal. We'll be back again tomorrow. Less of the big breaks. I think we'll talk some Auburn baseball stuff, if y'all don't mind. But again, whatever you bring to the table is fair game. I appreciate everybody who's here, and I hope to see you again soon. War Eagle.